Hello everybody, and welcome to our new studios here at the Daily Progress. They built this studio actually just for this video podcast, if you will. What do you think, Hoots?
It's nice digs. Nice digs.
It sort of reminds me of an Anchorman. What did Ron Burgundy say about the rich mahogany?
Oh yeah, rich mahogany.
I feel lots of rich mahogany around here. I don't know if viewers can see that.
Chris Berman would be impressed.
He would be.
Yeah.
But I digress here. Let's talk a little UVA basketball. Virginia trying to bounce back from this lawsuits to Virginia Tech, this very ugly home loss in which offense was, well, I can't think of the right adjective for what. There we go. Right to the point with that one. Boston College comes in. Clearly this is a team that's a really young team. 9 freshmen, I believe, if you can believe that. 11 new players on this roster overall. What are your thoughts, heading into this matchup here tomorrow night at John Paul Jones Arena?
I think this game will be the first of 4 games. It's going to tell us a lot about this team because, I never thought it was about beating Carolina or Duke. Those are nice if you can get them, but it's how you do against these other teams that you're rated fairly even with. And so, even though Boston College is, like you said, very young, I think this game is going to tell Tony a little bit about how his team responds, and he's had a little bit of time now to try to adjust to life without Hassan Sen and how he's going to change his, shuffle his lineups around to take advantage of what he's got. But I think Boston College, even though they're young, I think Steve Donahue's doing a good job coaching them. I think it's going to be interesting to see how they react to a Virginia team that plays a little differently than most teams they'll face.
Now, somebody we know quite well, both you and I, his name is Doug Dowdy. He writes for a little publication called the Roanoke Times.
Mr. Dowdy.
He, after that game against Virginia Tech the other night, was going on and on about Jontel Evans and how Evans's performance reminded him of Calvin Baker. Now, the former Virginia guard, who most Virginia fans, you know how they felt about Calvin. Sorry, Calvin, if you're watching this. But I thought that was a little unfair. I think Jontel, he's made some strides this year, I think. And quite frankly, I kind of liked his aggressiveness. I know he took a team-high 12 shots, but the defense was kind of inviting him to do that. He clearly needs to become more efficient. But I think Dowdy was out of his mind with that Calvin Baker comparison.
Well, I won't go that far, but I think I like Jontel's aggressiveness. I like his on-ball defense. He makes it really tough for guards to get past him and penetrate the lane. The thing that bothers me probably the most about Evans is, even though he does a great job of pickpocketing other players, he seems to come in, too fast or out of control or something on the break. And he can't score. He can't convert that turnover into points. He either leaves it off the rim or he gets blocked from behind or something goofy happens. I think it might be wise just for the moment until he gets things more settled. It's just to pull up and maybe pass it off to somebody. I know it's tempting to get that easy snowbird, but
so you're siding with Dowdy. I don't even believe this. The first day in the new studios and everything.
Not siding with him.
Unbelievable.
I just think he needs to do a little bit more work on his offense before. I don't think you can rate him as a Calvin Baker, but I like his defense. His offense I'm not so crazy about.
Now, speaking of offense, in general, you had a good column in today's paper. I think the gist of it was, does Virginia have enough offense to not only compete this year, but in years to come? Your column seemed to, maybe think that that question is still unanswered.
Well, I wrote last year about this time that they needed more scorers. Well, actually, for the last 2 years, they needed more scorers, and we thought with the last class, the 6-shooter class, that they brought in some more scorers, and they have in Harris. A couple of the other guys are gone now, but I think he's going to have to find some more athletic guys who can shoot the ball. Maybe he needs to recruit a couple of little Tony Bennett's somewhere that can shoot the ball when they get the open shot. Because, I went back 20 years and looked at the average scoring, season scoring average for the ACC champion, and only once did it get lower than what Virginia's averaging now, which I think is 64.2 points a game. I think Duke in 2004 had 62.1 points a game, but that team also only gave up 49 points a game, which is even a little bit better than what Virginia's giving up now, around 50. So, most of the ACC champions have scored at least 75 points a game, or average. Most of them were closer up to the high 80s and low 90s. So, even though Virginia's defense is great, I just don't know if you can. I guess they had to prove to me they can win a championship by playing great defense. I know their old adage is defense wins championship, offense sells tickets, but man, if you hold somebody to 45, that's okay, but you got to score more than 45.
Sure.
What do you think about that?
Well, I'll tell you something that really irks me, something in addition to Doug Dowdy, who always irks me and most people. Sammy Zaglinski, okay? I think everybody's kind of jumping on him a little too much right here. Yes, he's 2 out of his last 3 games have been horrendous. 0 of 8 for Duke versus Duke, and then 0 of 7, I believe, the other night versus Tech. But in which he had the flu, we found out after the game, or flu-like symptoms leading into that game. But what I think people forget is before that game, the first bad game against Duke, he was ranked 3rd in the ACC in three-point percentage, shooting the ball at 41%. He was shooting the ball better than he has in his entire career heading into that Duke game. Then he has a bad game against Duke and a bad game here against Virginia Tech, and people are just all over him. And what's wrong with Sammy? Some fan on the Bennett show the other night called in and suggested that they should set Sammy up with Bob Rotella, the famed sports psychologist. I mean, I think there's a little bit of overreaction going on right now with Sammy's shooting. He's never been a real consistent shooter. He's a streaky guy, so of course you're going to have some peaks and valleys.
Yeah, I even had a caller yesterday morning called up from